Hello there, I'm Tim and he's John and this is How to Murder Time, a podcast about games and things.
Hello everybody.
Watcher.
You live.
I'm alive. Yeah, spoiler alert.
Do you want me to fix that in post?
What, that I'm alive?
No, the redness.
I'm not that red. I'm quite healthily tanned, look, see. Don't you see my arm there?
First time ever.
Yeah, I know. Normally I'm very pasty and it's just good. Yes, I'm back from my Southwest Coast Path Week 2 thing successfully.
People were asking about you.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Yeah.
I lived. It was
people. Actually, some people were asking when you were going to start doing your next leg. So I said you were away.
I'm way ahead of you. Yes. Yeah, I worked out. I think I'm about 150 miles, 160 miles in now. On my 640 mile odyssey. So that's good going.
You realise I drive that in the first half of the week.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a bit. It was odd because I took the train down to Westward Ho and then got a bus and train back from Padstow via a different route, and it was a hugely different route. And I was thinking, wow, I walked so far that I need an entirely different set of train lines to come home, which is quite impressive.
Padstow?
Padstow was nice.
Did you go to his fish and chip shop?
It wasn't open.
Oh.
So I had an ice cream and a pasty and then I went home in the end. So
I
saw it.
Video.
He's got us cookery school there. Guess how much it is for a day?
Far too much.
£200, £198 a day.
If you ever want to get really shocked, look at Hugh Ferning Whittingstall's stuff.
Do they all? They all do them, don't they? All these TV chefs. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, a week wandering along Cornwall. I made it to Cornwall.
Yay!
Started in Devon, ended up in Cornwall on purpose. So yes, that's all
Not
great.
Norway.
No, so I've got another 6 weeks to go now. So I could probably do another one in September. Last week of September, I think I've got provisionally penciled in for the week 3, which will be
nice. I hear the weather's going to be good.
Padstow to St Ives. Yes, via Newquay. So should be good. And this last week was an absolute bastard. I mean, I've done about 50 gigs worth of video, which I've dumped on him. So
yeah, that's my next month.
There'll be some travelogues to see.
People who wonder what's happened to the old tradition of being forced to sit down in front of a slideshow after
yes.
It's here, edit this.
the modern tradition still lives, yeah. But yes, I've had a week off, but the other week have been playing some games. So I think I probably ought to talk about them because it's what we do.
Apparently.
So I true to my word, I finally started playing and have finished episode 1 of Tales of the Borderlands.
Just episode 1, that's half an hour's play.
I know. It's been a busy week with all sorts going on as well as hiking.
Okay, so Tales of the Borderlands.
Telltale game, yeah. Apparently a very typical Telltale game.
They're all very typical.
of a very standard
I
kind of format.
I've forgiven them for not making a third Bone game.
Bone? Oh, God, I don't even remember that. Because
they were the first.
They started with Sam and Max, didn't they?
They started with Bone.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's based on a graphic novel.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tales of the Borderlands. It's essentially a kind of, I don't know how to describe it, really. Interactive novel.
Interactive cartoon?
Cutscene?
Cutscene, well,
cutscene with quick time event.
Because we have to be very careful not to wander down the walking simulator bollocks up our own arseisness.
Well, it's not even a walking simulator. There's not that much walking.
I know.
Yeah, there's a few token sections where you get to walk down a corridor and look at a few things on the way.
But you get to walk in this one.
Yeah,
in Batman, you don't really get to walk.
So in the first episode, which, as you say, is about half an hour's worth of gameplay, there is 2 sections, I think, where you can walk along a corridor. I think one of them's an L-shaped corridor.
Ooh.
And there's a few things to look at along the way. You click on and the pop-up tells you details. Yeah, so you got the Telltale game and you got the Borderlands aspect. Now, the Borderlands aspect of it is really good. It's really well done. I mean, essentially, it kind of works as a sort of interactive background graphic novel fill-in of the Borderlands world. I mean, the Borderlands games, of course, highly acclaimed team-based first-person shooters that you with story elements that you rampage across this alien world looking for artifacts, and it's got this amazingly well done sort of sci-fi Wild West aesthetic going all the way through the whole thing, and it's got this immensely wide streak of really dark humour running through the whole thing as well. They are funny, they're interesting, they're very fast-paced and technically very good shooters, I always thought.
Yes,
I mean, I don't know, I'm not a connoisseur particularly of first-person shooters, but they handle well. The gunplay is good. Yeah, it's got the sort of the first Borderlands game famously had like 18 billion types of, because it procedurally generates the loot from all sorts of stats as it goes. And
we just say random in this case. It's not procedural. It's just random.
So you end up with Anyway, so that's all by the by. But the backstory of the world of Pandora and the bonkers shenanigans that go on across that whole thing is something that was really fascinating and interesting and kept the basic, what might otherwise have been just a really boring, dull, by the numbers first-person shooter game, interesting, fresh, and fun. And it's that aspect of it, you know, you're sort of playing through, and you got the audio logs and all that sort of thing in the first-person shooter in Borderlands 1 and 2, and that gives you a bit of backstory on some of the wacky characters and stuff. But this game really gives you an opportunity to explore in much more detail the sort of backstory and goings on, because essentially it kind of plays out a little bit like Borderlands the movie, which is pretty much, you know, what I suppose Telltale games are, interactive movies rather than games in the traditional sense. Then you got the Telltale aspect of it, which is it is its own kind of form. I haven't really played many other Telltale games. I've heard you talking about lots of them, and they're all very similar to this, apparently.
Well, there's a certain amount of differences, but the differences aren't particularly deep.
Mechanically speaking, it is essentially a cut. It's much more cutscene than anything else. You know, traditionally in other games, you'll have a bit of video, a bit of some kind of movie goes at the start, and then suddenly you're in control and off you go and you play the game. But with this, that opening cutscene is essentially the texture and context of the entire thing all the way through, except every now and then it's interrupted with quick time events, or sometimes there'll be a little bit of supposedly free form walking around a corridor looking at some things, and mostly the narrative and the gameplay, you know, using finger quotes gameplay, sort of plays itself out in terms of just conversational choices. You know, in inactive, you know, sort of non-interactive stuff goes on and on and on and on, and then suddenly, boom, up pops, you know, three different conversational choices and a countdown timer, and you pick one of them, and potentially, I don't know how smoke and mirrorsy it is about how important those choices are. Is that a wildly different story from the first thing you pick? Or,
no, they never are. Small changes.
Very small changes, I imagine. And sometimes when you're interacting with other characters, you can choose mean, nice and friendly options or whatever, or just, you know, wacky option, and you know, you'll see a pop-up saying so and so will remember this, you know, which is the sort of, this is going to feature in a further episode thing. I've made an important choice, and I don't know.
All it does is change. I think some of the games it changes some scenes.
Yeah.
I know in the Batman one, some scenes don't happen and other scenes happen, but nothing major changes. The story never changes.
Yeah, I mean, it really reminds me a lot of the old fighting fantasy game books from like from the 80s. You know, some of the first books I bought and owned, you know, Warlock of Firetop Mountain and so on. You know, you got some nominal combat just to keep it interesting, and you got some decision-making trees going on. But then I never sat down and actually mapped out any of those books. But I imagine a lot of them, it's you either branch and branch and branch and branch, and then every end is a death or a game over, and there's one correct one, or you end up branching and then weaving back in, branch weave back in, branch weave back in. In which case, it doesn't really matter which way you took to get to these various nodes.
I've never really thought about the design of these. I don't know which way it goes.
Map them out. Yeah. I mean,
I did see an interview with Charlie Hickson recently, who's written a new one.
Oh yes, I saw that one. I think I saw that interview. Yeah, and Ian Livingston, I think, was involved as well. And basically, the point is, you've got a book with 400 numbered entries in it. Not even each of them is everyone's a page, and somehow you have to tell an entire story, and yet somehow convince the reader stroke player that they're pivotal in the process. And I'm just not sure how convinced I am by Telltale's interpretation and implementation of what's gone on here. Obviously, I've only played this episode once. I've only played the first episode. I could play it lots of times through, and I'm really thinking it's not going to have a lot of replay value.
No.
But I'm just wondering, okay, now, so if I map out each of these conversational trees, I expect somebody somewhere probably has done this online. I could probably go and have a look.
You overestimate how much people care about these games.
Well, maybe. But it would be interesting to see an actual map of the decision trees through this thing. It reminded me a lot, as I was playing through, of Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 2 and 3 particularly, where there's a lot of Paragon Renegade choices go on, and I wonder, you know, how much of that feeds into, you know, the end of it all, and is it vastly different, or is Telltale stuff not even as intricate as Mass Effect cutscenes?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So I'm left with this sort of weird thing that's not really a game, I don't think, and not really a film. I don't know.
Interactive
story, yeah. And I just found myself
interactive novel. They tend to have a bit more gameplay.
Yeah. I just found myself wondering, well, why am I involved at all? To be honest, I found myself getting irritated by my own involvement in what was actually quite an interesting and fun story.
Yeah.
If these had been delivered as a box set of half-hour TV show episodes, essentially some very good machinima or whatever, then I'd have been all on board with that. The graphic style is absolutely Borderlands. It has exactly that same cell shady sort of look to the first person shooters have, and that works very well. All the sort of HUD and UI elements use the same fonts and the same design. So
shooting.
It looks. I think there's one section where Reese is targeting for the loader bot when they first get to the town and they get attacked, and so but it's such a slow business. There's basically things happening and a big red crosshairs, and you just have to put your mouse over the crosshair and click.
The Batman has a similar one. Not
actually shooting in the conventional sense. It's click on this thing. It's another kind of QuickTime event, really.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of QuickTime events where you're ducking or dodging out of cover, and I wonder, is it possible even to be killed? I noticed that it does have a ... as a fourth option. For
if you don't bother doing anything.
If you don't either can't decide or don't choose one, it will.
Well, I did that
silence.
experiment with the Batman game, and it will kill you sometimes.
Yeah, okay, so death is an option, I suppose. But again, I found myself sort of wondering: is that necessary? Do I care? This isn't really about me at all. This whole experience. I'm just watching a good cartoon show and wanting to not have to press the remote control every sort of 10 seconds or so. Anyway, and it's a shame because the story's really good. So the story, you play as Reese and Fiona. It sort of swaps between two different points of view, two characters. Reese is a sort of junior executive in the Hyperion Corporation. This all takes place after the end of Borderlands 2. Handsome Jack's been killed, and it's the sort of dealing with some of the fallout of that. So Reese is up on the big H-shaped base that keeps firing robots at you during the second game. And he's sort of, dealing with some low-level corporate shenanigans. He's hoping for a promotion. He goes in to find someone else has gazumped him out of the job, some slick, smooth executive type. And it's a sort of revenge tale there. Basically, this executive's setting up a deal He's setting up a deal to try and buy a vault key from a native on Pandora, and Reese basically comes up with the idea of I'm going to sort of go in there and steal the key to get my revenge on being dumped on by this guy. So him and his mate Vaughan, who's like an accounts whiz, and Arlene, I can't remember her name, who's into logistics. They come up with this small plan to go down and pose as the Vasquez, pose as the exec, and sort of buy this key with some sort of stolen funds. And so that all goes on, and there's a really great intro sequence where they get fired down onto the planet and stolen their boss's car, and they're driving along the desert, and it's that typical Borderlands opening sequence with the music and the credits rolling, and they're driving through the desert and stuff, and they hit a skag, and the music grinds to a halt, and they both get out and go, oh my god, what is it all right? The big running joke being in the previous Borderlands, these trains and trucks are just mashing skags completely without stopping. That made me chuckle. But they get into trouble almost immediately. Then they call down a loader bot, and it's a good fun adventure. It's like a sort of heist romp with a neat team of misfits that are sort of working together. So that goes on to a point, and then we switch to Fiona, and it turns out Fiona and her sister and their adoptive father are on the other side of that whole big deal with the vault key, and they've actually created a false, fake vault key out of paint and glowing bits, and are trying to sell that vault key to the middleman thug in order to swindle them out of the money. So you've got these two different cons going on and meeting and colliding, and then it all goes south for everyone. They end up joining forces and trying to work their way through bandits and all sorts of crazy. Really engaging and well written. The writing of the story is fantastic. I'm really enjoying it, really liking it, and I'm really interested to see where it goes next. The characterization's done really well. I think it's Troy Baker and Laura Bailey doing the main voices. You'll have heard them in all sorts of other stuff, and they do a fantastic job, particularly with all the different sort of optional different types of line you can choose, which sort of guides and informs the sorts of personality they come across. So Reese has got this this echo eye thing that can scan things, and that lets you get a bit more background detail on stuff. He's got a robot arm that lets him hack things and uses that to control the loader bot that comes down to help them and stuff. And Fiona's got a sort of basically she's a sort of face, so trying to talk her way in and out of the trouble and so on. It's a really I'm really enjoying the story, and yet I find myself just continually resenting. Oh, it's me now, is it? Oh crap! What have I got to do? Oh, I've got to choose a thing. I've got to click here. I've got to do a quick time event. I was enjoying that. Why are you getting me involved? It's the really skirts on the edge of participation versus spectating. And to be honest, I just think the whole thing would be so much better if it was literally just a box set of half-hour episodes of Tales of the Borderlands. I could sit back, get a drink, watch it, enjoy it. And just continually being dragged in at the flimsiest pretext to do really useless stuff like push left and not get hit by a bandit. Okay, fair enough. Done that. Now I can sit back and let it happen again.
It does tend to feel like a Quantic Dream game where I don't think you've played any because they're all on console, but where you end up having to
Heavy
do
Rain.
Heavy Rain and stuff. You end up having to do basically quick time event moves for everything, like open cupboard, pull out plate, put plate down.
It's not that bad.
Rattle plates.
It's not even that bad. I mean, the quick time events are relatively few and far between. There's whole large sections of like minutes at a time where you don't have to do anything, and you're thinking, I'm enjoying this. I'm liking the characters and liking the story. It's fun, and I'm enjoying it. And now I've got to do a thing. It's just, I don't know. I find myself sort of resenting my own involvement in it, which is such an odd thing. And I don't know how you'd change or fix that. I mean, compare it against the proper Borderlands games, for example. They're pretty much 95% you running around shooting things with guns, and that's the game. You're playing that game, and you're rewarded with a bit of character development and plots and cutscene and stuff going on every now and then. But that's the sort of chapter break after doing lots and lots of work of your own. Whereas this, the mix, the ratio of uptime, downtime, involvement, spectating is just so all over the place. And I guess this is probably quite similar problem with all of their games, really. I mean, you must have to really quite learn to like the form, I suppose, to become a fan of Telltale games. Because they are their own genre at this stage. At
the start, things like Walking Dead, the first Walking Dead, was new and interesting and did interesting things. And
it's sort of interesting for me in that I've not played this kind of thing before, but I could see myself getting fed up with it. Well, I already am.
Everyone is. They don't sell half as well as they used to. But it's like the Batman one. I could really see myself buying that as a trade paperback instead and enjoying it just as much.
Yes. Yeah.
Possibly more, because the art will be a bit less stuttery.
Yeah, I'd happily just, I don't know, maybe you get to the point where you start to think, maybe I just won't bother buying any more of these. Maybe I'll just watch a playthrough on YouTube.
Yeah.
There would be almost, okay, so the bloke doing the YouTube recording might pick different conversational choices than I might, but at the end of the day, exactly, I could just sit and watch a half-hour thing.
At the end, does that one do the thing that a lot of them do now, which is to say how everyone else...
Yes. So you get to the end of your episode, being achievement unlocked, whatever, and then a screen comes up saying, "Look, all these, you chose to do this, and 79% people did this,
and then you
only
think
38% people chose to do that."
Those people are monsters.
Well, I don't know. Because at that point I just don't really remember what any of those choices were, because that was about 20 minutes ago, and I played it in about 2 or 3 different sessions as well, which didn't help. But okay, fair enough. There's, I was in a minority in that I made Fiona grab the bloke's hand when he was going to touch the vault key, because the vault key's paint was still wet apparently, so you got to stop it. So that was apparently most people didn't do that.
I wonder what happens if you don't. I wonder how he didn't discover, or did he discover?
Well, no, because you grab his hand and then you tell him, no, it's radioactive, don't touch it, and manage to bluff your way out of it or whatever.
Yeah, but I wonder what happens if you don't grab his hand.
I don't know, but if the majority of people let that happen, presumably it didn't end their game and kill them. So you can sort of do a bit of logical deduction there. And then at the end of the day, and it said, if you create an account, I thought, here we go, the bloody join our social club count thing, whatever, so we can upsell. If you've created an account and logged on to the thing, then you can see what all your friends chose, and I just don't care. This is such an inconsequential thing.
You. Yeah. This friend couldn't be asked to create an account, so it doesn't know.
I think my friends are largely defined by their inability to be asked to create a social account for one Telltale game experience. Yeah. So I just thought, okay. Here's a list of percentages. I'm not. I don't know. I sort of did lots of choices that most people did, and some choices that few people did. Whatever. So there we go. And I come to the end of it thinking, well, yeah. So what? I got to the end. Is that a win? Have I scored 1 point? I don't know. What is this even a game? You don't get to the end of watching a film and go, yes, score 1, tick.
Oh, I watched Alien Covenant. I did give myself a score for.
Actually, you should probably give yourself 2 points for getting to the end of Alien Covenant. Yeah, I also have 2 points there. Yeah. So yeah, I get. It's a bit edgy. It's a bit crossover media, multi-format.
I don't like the is it a game discussion, but because it is a game because a game is a game, but
everything's a game. But is it enjoyable?
That's the thing.
That's a relevant question.
Is it worthwhile playing,
or participating, or watching, or whatever it turns out?
Are you doing more than a token effort?
I liked it, but I just found myself. I thought it could do with a lot less me. It could do with a huge amount less participation, and I would quite happily just buy it as a little DVD set, box set binge, and just watch 6 half-hour episodes of a Borderlands cartoon. Essentially, it'd be great. That's fine. And I just thought, oh God, what? It's me again, is it? Oh no, because every time one of those pops up, I get the anxiety. Oh, what if I pick the least optimal choice? What if I pick the wrong choice? And apparently some of these choices will get you killed. Oh, okay.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't think they will.
You said some people died if you don't choose some Batman.
No, you can die if you cock up the fights.
Oh, right.
Which are just quick time events.
Yeah, they're quick time. And there was a few. I like that some of the quick time events seem to be literally impossible. There was one that I particularly enjoyed with. I think Reese and Fiona's sister are in there trying to infiltrate a base, doing the creep up takedown from behind thing, and sister runs in, does that. Reese runs up, jumps on his back, and the bandit's sort of looking around. It's that sort of comedic can't take a guy down, can't fight sort of thing. And there's a quick time event to try and strangle him, and it's tap Q, and I'm tapping like mad, and it's just going. It's literally, obviously not meant to be possible because Reese is not a very good combatant. But on the whole, I mean, I just don't like mash button quickly to do anything. Event times, quick time stuff anyway. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. I think if it feels a shame, and I'm almost I feel sorry, but it just shouldn't be a game. I think if you had that, just tell that story using that art style and those characters and that voice acting, and just do it as an utterly uninteractive
it seems like a complete lost opportunity to have something interactive.
Like you say, trade paperback, like a graphic novel or something. That it'd be a more rewarding experience. I could just relax and enjoy it and absorb it all without having to constantly be slightly on my edge and worrying that I need to suddenly press a button or the people I'm watching are going to die for some arbitrary reason.
The Walking Dead one, which again is possibly the best one, has you make a decision at the end which does have some importance.
Yeah, you can do that right at the end because that's only a small bit of work in terms of production, because you only have to do like two different 1 minute end scenes or whatever, instead of completely write 2 different games and split them at the start.
But instead, I was playing through the Batman one, it would say, Harvey will remember this, and I was just thinking, that's nice because I won't.
Glad somebody is. Oh God, yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I think this thing. I think Telltale do well on the back of other people's success. This is the thing. Batman is cool.
It's a nice Batman story.
Borderlands is cool.
It's a nice Borderlands.
It's a nice Borderlands.
It's a nice Walking Dead story.
Yeah. Sam and Max is quite cool. I mean, the Game of Thrones. They had one of them.
Actually, the Sam and Max one, I would say. That's back in the day when there were more adventure games.
Yeah. Oh, is the Sam & Max one more like the original point-and-click type of it?
Much more like an original.
So are they actively moving away from that old-school experience?
They have done, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, shouldn't I not have like an inventory and be looking... There is an inventory in some of the walking around bits. You've got 2 items and neither of them do anything. It's like, what? I mean, this is a parody of a point-and-click adventure at this point, yeah. But, so you're just wondering... Are we utterly streamlining this experience, and the ultimate end of streamlining that point-and-click adventure is just the cutscenes, and that's the video I've been describing. So you start to wonder, well, what's Telltale really do?
Lose money at the moment.
Well, apparently it's, I guess they keep doing the same kind of thing over and over with just different IPs, apparently.
Well, I'd be surprised... Well, okay, I wouldn't be surprised to know that if all of our viewers and listeners were to... not bother telling us because I don't actually care, but to just think about whether or not they paid for most of them or got them cheap on sales or free with other stuff or part of bundles.
I can't remember what I bought. I bought something on GOG and this came free because it happened to be a particular event they were running.
I paid for them up to a point. Like, I think The Walking Dead was the time I stopped paying for them. And then since then, I've got loads of them.
I probably wouldn't have bought this. I wouldn't have gone out of my way to seek it and purchase it. It just turned up because I bought something else. I can't even remember what that was. But
are you not curious about the Minecraft one?
Is there a Minecraft one?
There's a Minecraft one.
Minecraft, the Telltale event? Oh, God. Right. Well, I'm sure it's great. I mean, the thing is, they seem to have some decent writers. It's just the game aspect of it seems to be
Could we do more,
pointless. Please? Well, quite, yeah. I mean, I imagine their team could probably write something quite entertaining and interesting and fun with Minecraft. I don't know, characterise Steve up a bit, and Alex, is it the female avatar? Yeah, whatever.
I believe they have more people as well they've made.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But and it might look a bit Minecraft. You could throw a few in-jokes about blocks in and so on. But yeah, I don't know. This really does seem very Borderlands. The characters are very Borderlandsy. All the sort of side characters that show up are sufficiently bonkers and wacky. You know, the general aesthetic of everyone scrambling, the sort of sci-fi Wild West, everyone out for a buck type aesthetic. They do
nail the IP.
Yeah,
every time they seem to nail the IP.
They're just not very good at writing games. That's the problem. Perhaps they ought to just reinvent themselves as a kind of machinima studio or something and go into production of box sets or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I've got, I don't know how many episodes there are. There's probably about 6 or so.
5 or 6.
5 or 6, yeah. So I've got quite a lot more of it to I'm going to use the word play, to get through.
Yeah.
And I probably will because of this, like I said,
the
story and the characterisation carry it. They absolutely do. They do enough to make me not get all cross and grumpy about the weird forced pseudo interactivity of it all. And I'll grit my teeth and go through the QuickTime events, mostly because I just want to see what happens to these people I've come to quite like,
Yeah.
And so that's a sort of success, but in a way, is that a success when you've managed to convince your players to play your game for other reasons?
It's a win.
Our characters and world are interesting enough to make people play our broken and really uninteresting game. Hurrah! I don't know.
I've done that on other games.
Well, that can sell stuff, yeah. That can be a motivator. But, you ought to, at that point, still take a long, hard look and think about the actual game you're delivering at that point. If it's not actually fun, people are only enduring it to look at the cutscenes. Again, I'm so tempted to just go and watch it all on YouTube. I'm sure someone's done a just the cutscenes playthrough of most of the Telltale stuff, and at that point just the cutscenes is pretty much the whole game.
Well, that's always the problem when you just have a game which is story. How many people do watch them on YouTube?
But that is, and then you don't earn any money. I don't know, it's not sure what I'm suggesting really. But I've got it and I'll carry on playing the rest of it. It's okay, but
not great.
Don't think I would have bought it if it hadn't come free with something else. So I don't know. If you're a huge fan of Borderlands, the world and want to know more and just more of it. And of course, there's quite a lot of DLC available for the proper Borderlands stuff. So you've got quite a large pantheon of encyclopedia of backstory and world to play through. Tell you what, this has made me want to do though. Is maybe want to go and get on with tracking down the Borderlands the pre-sequel, which I never bothered.
No, I never played that either.
Never played it. I thought, I just quite like being in this world. It's fun, it's interesting.
I believe it's not as good as the others, but
doesn't matter, it's a whole other set that I've not played yet, so I probably will get around to that at some point as well. So it's like I say, it does the IP justice. It just doesn't really add much itself. So there you go. Borderlands, Tales from the Borderlands. Over to you.
I have been playing a variety of games.
Okay.
Most of them have been 40k games involving Space Wolves.
Oh, cool.
The one I'm going to talk about first, or possibly only,
Space Wolves. These are like the
Space Doggos.
Yeah, these are the Viking
13
people,
out of 10.
aren't they?
Would bet again.
They're like the grim darkness of the future with like blonde beards and big hammers and stuff. Isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
There's red beards.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, big hammers. Wrong colour armour.
Space Vikings.
Because they made it more of a blue grey than a grey, and I would prefer the original old school grey from back in the first and second edition.
Pantone colour?
I don't actually know. But you can't tell because it's gradated with the edge highlighting.
I thought you were a Dark Angels chap, generally.
No, I don't. I think they're silly, but because they're very wolves.
That does take.
I have a tank. You have a wolf.
That does take the awesome up to 11. I remember they ride like 15-foot long cybernetically enhanced space wolves. Yeah, into battle as cavalry.
Anyway, I just don't like the blue grey.
Is there a chapter that rides bears into battle? Oh, that's where I used to go.
Not yet.
Some sort of loosely Russian themed chapter.
The orcs used to ride boars.
Oh, okay.
But not anymore.
No.
Where was I?
Being distracted.
I was being distracted ranting about changes to colour schemes of armies that happened 30 years ago.
Lots of computer games involving space wolves.
Warhammer 40k Sanctus Reach.
Sanctus Reach.
Which is a tactical strategy game.
Okay.
Not an RTS, really. And it's certainly not. It's yet another one of those Warhammer games which goes out of its way not to recreate the tabletop experience just in case.
Yeah.
Every single game does not recreate the tabletop experience. You're not moving individual people over a map, getting the shot, taking it. You're always...
Because if you could just pay $39.99 once and do that forever, then they sort of cease to exist, really, don't they?
No, because their market is perfectly safe because...
People like buying
plastic.
and painting... People like buying and painting the models, certainly, yeah. I don't.
I do. I love buying the models.
You've got... Yeah, you can't see out a shot here, dear viewer, but... yeah, anyway.
There's lots of Tyranids down here.
Yes, he's got quite a lot of actual Space Marines about the place. It's good. Have you got a Space Wolf somewhere? They can't see the detail on that.
No, I did a video about him, so they can see that on the other channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Sanctus Reach, yes. Yeah. It's a tactical strategy game where you're basically on a grid-based board, effectively. Each unit is on one tile.
Yep.
No units can't share a tile.
Yeah.
So you'll have a squad of Marines, a couple of bikes, a land speeder, a rhino or whatever. And you're moving across the board and shooting and killing stuff. While at the same time there's orcs who are trying to stop you.
Okay. Yep.
So it's basically a tactical, turn-based strategy game.
So I'm thinking XCOM now. I don't know why. Is that
no,
kind of thing? Or Battle Isle?
Think zoomed out more. Okay, Battle Isle's a bit closer. Yeah, I think Battle Isle.
That's ancient.
That was hexes, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, but with squares.
Yeah.
So basically you'll have 5 Marines there. You move them forwards, you shoot a couple of times, then... they can't do anything else, so you move on to the next unit and move around, and you're capturing points on the board in order to win. So much like in the actual tabletop game, if you get these points, it gives you advantages. So if you've got most of them at the end, you win, sort of thing.
Yep. Sounds like a pretty straightforward concept.
It is very, very straightforward, and it's incredibly well done. It's pretty slick. It's published by Slytherin, who is a company who knows their tactical games. Okay. And I don't know if this engine was used on one of the historical ones. I probably was, because it feels like it's had a lot of effort put into it, more than, say, the average 40k game gets given at this time.
So it's a well-established company that does a lot of this stuff anyway. And do they more do historic simulation stuff?
Yeah, lots of historic stuff. World War II stuff. And so basically the first couple of missions are all move forwards up the board, capture these points, kill the enemy. And every single game I've played so far has ended up in a wipeout rather than getting to the turn limit.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds relatively well balanced, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, the one I recorded, which puts a drop pod down. And I don't know if I'll have this bit in the video, but I spend most of the time trying to get the dreadnought out of the drop pod.
It's stuck.
Yeah. I wasn't paying attention, and when I look at that video, I'll probably find out how I should have done that.
Right. Okay.
At the start, you have so many points to spend, and then you have to pick which forces you want to take from a list. So that's good. I've been taking a lot of mobile stuff, maybe not enough anti-armor stuff. So whenever there's a orc dreadnoughty thing, they're quite hard to take down. But
you need the right tools for the job.
Yeah. And so I took some multi-melters.
Melter bombs.
I took some multi-melters, came up against a knob, and the knob got 2 squads of multi-melters in his face. He didn't last very long.
Right. Yeah.
That worked.
That'll do the job.
Yeah, that did the job. Yeah, it's fun. It's interesting.
Does it look the part? Do the models sort of good feel to them?
They have... You know how 40k is sort of moving away from being cartoony? If you look at, say, the new design of the Marines, they're a lot more proportioned.
Oh, that's no good.
Beforehand, everything was a little bit Warcraft
caricatured.
He said, knowing that's going to piss people off, saying that. So, but now stuff's a lot more proportioned, personalised. So these have all got the old Marines.
I suppose a lot of that's a function of the improved resin modelling and stuff like that. It's more detailed.
It's
less chunky.
It's basically they've gone to plastics now, and they have much better design, and they're designing computers, so they can do a lot more.
Which I suppose means you can just take the model straight across into computer game asset art or whatever.
You could do, but I don't think they give them.
Well,
so all of the Marines in it look a bit like badgers, because old Marines just look like badgers to me.
Okay, right.
Badgers in suits.
Badgers.
And the fact that they're space doggos doesn't help, because they look even more like badgers because they've got massive...
Badgers riding dogs.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't had any dog riding space doggos yet. Just been using bikes, because bikes are good. Mobility is the key.
Yes.
Land speeders, bikes, they help a lot. Walking people across the board, not good. Paying extra points for a rhino, not good either, because then you've got to pay points for a rhino.
Right.
The army building side is interesting. Stuff levels up between fights as well to a certain extent.
You've got a campaign of sorts.
Yeah, you've got a map and you're going across it trying to do stuff.
Okay.
And so if stuff gets killed, it may not be available for the next fight. And if stuff levels up, gets very experienced, it'll get bonuses, I think. Although how good they are is one of those, who knows. If it's a thing next to their name when I select them, and then from then on I don't care, because I don't know, because I got 3 identical units, one of them may be slightly buffed. I don't care, they're all just charging.
Well, yes, it's not good to learn their first names or anything.
No, never learn your troops' first names. I learned that in military academy.
Yes, yeah. Just
after I was told
next.
To leave.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's one of those interesting ideas of a game that takes what is a good idea for a game, which is maybe you could have a proper RTS type based on the tabletop game, and tries really hard not to do that.
Well, Dawn of War, isn't it?
Well, no, even Dawn of War, all of those games have tried to get as far away as possible from doing the tabletop experience now. It's
true, yeah.
And I don't know if it's a Games Workshop rule or whatever, that maybe they don't want people doing it, but I would quite like I'll move each individual thing, and
Tabletop Simulator.
Simulators, what that does basically.
Tabletop Simulator is an engine that would support that, and there are Steam Workshop downloadable full Space Wolf armies with actual models you could move about with a ruler and stuff if you wanted.
Yeah, I keep meaning to give that a go and have a play.
You should probably see how that compares to the real experience.
Yeah,
but yeah, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not bad. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I've got this nagging feeling in the back of my mind saying, I want it to be something else. And that's never a good thing with a game. It's just like with the Telltale stuff.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, I wish this was something else. And how do you fight that? How do you beat expectations when the players...
Well, you suck it up and take what's been presented, or you go and do something else, I suppose. But, yeah, I mean, do you find... So if it was not Space Marines, would it still be interesting? Would it still be a decent game? If it was just like Norman Crossbowmen or whatever?
Yes. If it wasn't 40k, it would still be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know...
Because that's the sort of risk, is the IP... Well, like the Tales of the Borderlands, the IP carries it all, you know?
I don't know about unit selection. Because it's 40k, you have an over-the-top unit selection, because...
Well, everyone's favourite units need to be there, yeah.
Well, Games Workshop may design the unit and then decide what it does and whether or not where to put it in the army.
Yeah.
So, somebody will come up with a model and they'll say, right, okay, this is going to do this.
What's this? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, fits it in. Rather than designing an army in a way that it is a balanced army.
And then coming up with models for each thing, yeah.
Which means, some armies are just incredibly dumb when it comes to trying to balance them.
Style over substance. Yeah.
And so you end up with hundreds and hundreds of unit types. And then, I don't know if you were playing a historical one where you say you've got, this type of tank, they're pretty much functional the same.
Yeah.
Or guy with gun.
Yes.
Guy with bazooka. out of ideas.
Well, I think that's kind of part of the problem that stuff like World of Tanks and War Thunder face, is that, or World of Warships or whichever, is that actually in the Second World War there weren't really that many tanks, certainly not enough to facilitate a vast tech tree of for 8 different nations.
There were a reasonable amount of tanks, but most of them came from what we like to call the arms race. And so that one would make that one obsolete.
There's a whole load of tanks, but all these tanks are rubbish and will lose. Yeah.
You do not
That's
want,
why there is this one.
You do not want day one World War II tank compared to end of World War II tank.
But you end up with Italian tanks that only ever appeared on technical drawings, turning up as part of tier whatever for this, that and the other matchmaking. Yeah, so it all gets a bit out of hand, because I suppose in real war you come up with a design that works and then you just get the bloody thing out in numbers and get on with it.
You build as many as you can.
Right, okay, well that works quite well. What should we do now? Let's have one with 3 guns. Yeah, okay. No, this one works. Get it out there, make it.
Can we give it more armour? It can't move. Okay, take a bit of armour off, then ship it.
Yeah, well, it's the ship it aspect. It's particularly whilst you're actually fighting a war, you need to really just get on and get the bloody thing out there. Yeah, so it tends not.
6 tanks are better than one for the theoretical tank.
You tend not to have this kind of peacetime incremental car design philosophy going on. Oh, the new 2016 model hatchback. No, just get them out. Standardisation.
Because that was the big. Oh, they've all been destroyed. Okay, let's fix that flaw.
I thought that was the big backstory thing with Warhammer 40k, anyways. That in the grim darkness of the future, everyone's superstitious and don't. Scientists have all been persecuted for being heretics or whatever.
True, yeah.
So there are only standard construction. I don't know what they're called.
Standard construction templates.
Yeah. So in the reason everything looks the same in 40k is that there are only 25 actual blueprints left in the universe.
Well, no, there's loads of them. But the idea is that back in the old days when stuff was high tech,
because
you go to a planet
in 20k or 30k there was some kind of machine uprising.
You go to a planet, and if you're going to start a new colony, you want to have a machine that will make you everything you need. And so you need a spade, so it will give you a spade. And I need a gun, it will give you a gun. And I need a tractor, it will make you a tractor from whatever materials you feed it.
Right.
And then
post technological peak decline dark age. So
when
you've got all this
technological knowledge becomes
now
religion.
All magic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so
Anyway, so you recommend that then?
Yes, it's interesting and fun. It's just I wish it was something else, and I can't get away from that nagging feeling of I wish it was something else. But it is fun.
Yeah, cool. I actually, just tangentially, I didn't get any video for this or anything. I went and bought Space Marine.
I noticed you were playing Space Marine.
Yes, I think you might be talking about something or other, and I just thought, oh yeah, that is fantastic.
It is
still. I'll talk about it lots on another show, I think, but it's every bit as good as I remember. Fantastic.
Also, one of the best female characters in games for many, many years.
It's just solid all round, really. So instead, I'm going to talk about Transport Fever. Blacklight recommended this to me, and I got it and haven't given it a go. I've finished the tutorial.
How many hours?
It's not actually that long. It's just I've not really had much time. So busy this fortnight. But I thought I'd talk about it. It is already. I mean, I've seen a bit of Blacklight playing it, and generally videos and so on. And I think it is the living modern day embodiment of Transport Tycoon. Transport Fever, this is. Transport Tycoon is like, Microprose game from around 2000s, something like that, 1990, whatever, sort of SimCity style of thing, but more about train sets.
I want to say 97, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, it's that kind of era. But it was an isometric tile-based sort of thing where you could put down train sets, basically train lines and trucks and bus routes and stuff to connect towns and industries together.
Diagonal railways.
Yeah, and this thing is a modern, all singing, all dancing, glorious and beautiful fully three-dimensionally realised version of that basic gameplay. You've got exactly the same mechanics, only it all looks fantastic, it all looks lavish and glorious. You can actually follow the trains with locked on camera, and they're like puffing steam out everywhere, and they all look. My dad's well into his steam trains. He makes model engineering and all that stuff. He makes them. Yeah, that's all that. The sort of one that narrow gauge stuff. He basically builds trains that are actually steam powered trains. To go around a big track in the gardens and stuff. Anyway, all that. It's got I've started to
have more hits on our YouTube channel.
I don't know. I started to recognise some of the models of train from that era because he's always showing me, and so they're lovingly recreated and detailed in this thing. So yeah, it's the same. This basic thing. You've got a big pile of money to start with, and a whole load of small, tiny little villages all around this landscape, and a whole load of like quarries and sawmills and things and factories. And it's up to you to make money by connecting them together and creating bus routes and commuter train routes and stuff. It's nothing particularly, death-defying. Oh my God, the universe is going to be destroyed unless I can get these bricks to this construction site. It's a really sort of placid, kind of meditative kind of game, but it is a train set. It is, it's the absolute functioning, working virtual train set, if nothing else. Anyone who wanted a train set or owned one as a kid or whatever, that was what I always loved about Transport Tycoon. I mean, the game itself in Transport Tycoon was always a bit harsh in that it was quite hard to play the making money game and not go bankrupt and stuff, because it was always a temptation to just keep buying more stuff. You need patience. You need to let the routes run and generate a bit of money before you make your next step and so on. I've yet to start an actual campaign. I've been working through the different tutorials where it's been showing you how to connect stuff up. Bus routes and are interesting. That's not something... I don't know if it was handled in the background or just sort of hand-waved in Transport Tycoon, but in Transport Fever, you actually see the route laid out around the city with the little arrows running around on a coloured line, and you put your bus stops down the different places. And you watch the buses going around picking people up. Individual people have houses and workplaces and stuff. It's that whole Sims thing. You can click on them and find out where they live, where they go to work, that sort of thing. And then you can just sort of try and work away at connecting these different industries together. And of course, the reward is seeing the towns prosper. They get bigger. They go more dense. The building style works over time. It starts in like 1850 and works through to about 2000s or whatever. So, you get new and more elaborate models of types of train and bus appearing over time as the game progresses onwards. The cities themselves grow and become more dense and larger as they get, commuter traffic moving between them and to get the various resources they need from the various sub-industries around the map, all provided by your trains and stuff. I think there's planes and boats as well at later stages. I haven't really seen those or got that far. And it looks fantastic. It's really well realised landscape, beautiful like forests and rivers and so on. You tend to play on a big sort of board, a big tile, but it's an enormous landscape, a couple, sort of dozens of miles across, and you can set your train routes going. Presumably there's all points and sidings and all that mucking about with trying to get multiple trains down the same line without killing each other.
You just put them all on at once.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Make one train long enough, doesn't matter.
It just goes around constantly. You have to jump to get on it, so I can see me playing a bit of that here and there. It's not something I feel I could sit down and play for 3 hours, though. No. I'm not sure it has the sort of game loop as such.
That's weird, because Transport Tycoon was always something you could.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I've changed, but it's very similar to Transport Tycoon in that regard. I mean, if you could play Transport... I don't think I could play Transport Tycoon for 3 hours nowadays. I think it might be me. But it looks really good. It's really impressive sort of modern remake. I see a lot of that these days.
Yeah, there is
a lot of this game. It's good in a way. It's a generation, our generation, that grew up with these games in the 1990s and 2000s that were great games at the time, but limited obviously by old-fashioned hardware, Amigas and very early 486s and whatever. There's only so much you could do with those, and now you got these like all singing, all dancing graphics cards with 16 core quad Pro Pentium, whatever, I don't know. And that's not going to slow down either. That's just going to keep going. We'll end up with like 64 core gaming CPU, PC, rigs, whatever, graphics cards. Just keep racking them up. Multiple graphics cards. I think that'll probably be the future. You'll end up with like multiple graphics cards on the same board.
Well, I believe that's been made.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. But the point being is that those games really suffer, and you get, GOG re-released them, and you got it takes a real determination to enjoy a game, literally a game from 1990 on a modern PC now. You have to sort of put the effort in a bit, really, even though you loved it back in the day. So it's great to see those games, the essence, the gameplay, the mechanics, the fundamentals of those games distilled, taken out, and then elaborated into modern graphics, modern sounds, and modern usability and control systems and so on. Because essentially that's a kind of rebirth, and it means you get to play the games you enjoyed in the past and enjoy them further into the future as well. And so you're seeing all sorts of games. There's quite a lot of Dungeon Keeper likes about. There's quite a lot of... oddly, a lot of it is the Bullfrog stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if I saw... I think I might have seen something on Steam. It might have been an early access that was Magic Carpet, but a modern interpretation of that.
I tried playing the original Magic Carpet not too long ago.
Yeah.
It's almost unplayable.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, technological considerations aside, we've just come to expect more and better in terms of our gaming experiences now. But that doesn't mean those very, very old games. I mean, we were talking about on Mumble, chatting about was it Pillars of Eternity and Torment Tides of Numeria? The old Baldur's Gate stuff. That now exists effectively. Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. Those are very modern reinterpretations of that old Baldur's Gate style of game. Those old game ideas live forever and are fertile ground for people making new games nowadays. I mean, yes, obviously it's nice that people make new games, come up with new ideas, but
here's the question.
The very old ideas are well worth picking up and polishing, I think.
Can you think of a game recently where you can see in 20 years somebody remaking it?
Oh, I don't know. They do tend to all be much of a muchness nowadays, don't they? But then perhaps we felt like that back then. I don't think you can tell now what will be the classic or the future. It'll be whatever generates the Kickstart interest in 5, 10, 15 years' time, and what suddenly turns up as that classic you loved from your childhood reborn and back with us again. And it's amazing that seems to be how it happens, particularly with, I suppose, Kickstart allowing access to niche customer bases as well. People, small communities of people who liked particular game X, Y, and Z, will suddenly be able to be contacted directly and corralled in a way to generate enough cash to make a new thing like that in that form. Brilliant. So Transport Fever, very good. I've not played it extensively yet, but it looks amazing and seems fantastic. A fantastic complete rework of Transport Tycoon, which was a brilliant game of the past. So over to you.
I've been playing a bit more of Warhammer 40k Space Wolves.
Space Wolves. This is different.
This is the top-down strategy game on a grid where, again, is trying really hard not to be at all like the tabletop game. But this is the card game, effectively.
Card game. Okay.
So you've got a grid and you're moving stuff around, but you have a hand of cards, and for each person... So you'll have 4 people on the board, and so you'll have your guy who Terminator armor and a hand of cards, and you'll have stuff like Thunderhammer, which will be an attack, or Assault Cannon, which will maybe use
sort of hybrid strategy card game.
Basically you'll have lots and lots of options for different weapons, so it's not just whatever he's holding, and lots and lots of different things, and also you can use them to move, so you could just basically burn a card so you can move, or use move cards. And there's deck building so that you try and make the deck that you want. So it introduces an interesting level of tactics there, which is, okay, I've got this deck of really, really good weapons. I really have to move. Which one of these weapons am I going to burn to move?
To prioritise and so on,
and actually, it starts off on mobile, but it's an incredibly fun...
It does sound like a mobile game,
But I'm playing on PC, and it's an incredibly fun, deepish strategy game that works well enough. I don't think it works on mobile for the pure reason that the games take too long. It's not a 5-minute game. It is. I will be playing these for tens of minutes, an hour, or whatever.
So that kind of thing is a lot more satisfying as a proper PC or console experience.
And I'd much rather be playing on my PC than on a phone for that. When am I sitting on my phone for an hour playing a game?
Well,
even if I am on a train, I'm not playing a game for an hour because I'm burning my entire battery before I get to where I'm getting to. So it works really well on PC. It probably works okay on phone, but I just don't have any interest in that. And as far as the game goes, it's actually quite clever and quite interesting in a way that I didn't expect when I started playing it.
Sort of hidden depths to it.
Because it's got... There's the classical deck building thing, which is how do you stop the deck being too powerful? Something like Magic limits you to 4 copies of a card. This limits you to a couple of copies of a card, but there's so many cards. I could fill it up with the best weapons imaginable, but then I won't be that good because I won't have any heals in there. I won't have any movements, and it'll just be a pain to get what I need to
That's
get.
That's the classic trap of deck building games, is attempting to have a massive deck.
Oh, there's
you
also
want the fewer cards possible coming round as frequently as possible.
And
ideally,
there's also weapons that you can equip, which gives you the ability to overwatch.
Okay.
So when somebody walks in front of you, you can fire them. So that's always handy.
Yes. Anything that messes with the turn sequence.
Yeah. Anything that gives you a free hit, basically, is a good
actions.
thing in any of these games. Actually, Sanctus Reach has a really nice mechanic for that as well. Where when you move, it'll show you the squares you can move into and shows the ones in red, which are going to trigger Overwatch from the enemy.
Okay.
Which is a really nice way of doing it.
Action economy. Was it Starcrawlers? Starcrawlers, sort of turn-based dungeon crawly type thing. And that's got a whole bunch of different classes, all with cool abilities. And then the Smuggler, whose ability is they shoot first sometimes. That doesn't seem very good, but they're so powerful. Basically, there's like an I think it's like 30-40% chance that on their turn you get to shoot them. But that gives you so much additional damage and power because you're just starting to mess with the basic turn sequence. Those are always the powerful abilities.
When you've got stuff appearing in front of you because it's either deep striking in or coming on a jetpack, it's always nice to be able to get that nice shot off on it, just so you've got it down enough for when your main attack comes, he's going to die and not just tick away at him. Because with all these things, do not split your fire. Always concentrate fire on one guy till he's dead, because 2 hurt people are still as deadly as 2 okay people. Well, it depends. Whereas 1 dead person is.
It depends if being injured impairs their ability to shoot
it never
back.
Does
if it doesn't,
games.
Then no, they are effectively
always
both full.
Fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's fun. It's interesting. It looks okay. It's obviously a mobile game. But it doesn't look too bad on a large screen.
You get that Warhammer feeling, I guess. Recognisable stuff.
Again, badges in. So
badges. Yeah.
When are we going to start getting the games with the Primaris Marines? Because at least they're properly proportioned. It's mainly fighting chaos. I believe Necrons are in one of the.
It's always chaos.
It's always chaos.
Do you not start with the orcs? It's always they start with the orcs and then oh no, it was chaos all along. Surprise!
Not that you got that to come in Space Marine or anything.
I've already played it. I've already completed it before. I know the plot, but
it's a good game. I like it. It's surprisingly good, and I've talked about it before. But the more I play it, the more I like it, and I wasn't expecting that from a port of a mobile game.
Some of these things do hit the mark and grow on you.
Yeah. So it's a good game. I like it.
Right. Well, I'm out of stuff. Do you spill?
I'm pretty much out of stuff too. Then.
What did you learn this week?
I learnt that not being able to walk for a week really is a pain in the arse.
And I learned not being able to do anything but walk for a week is quite a pain in the feet. Yeah. So there we go.
Yeah, I think I took every injury you could have got, and it went into my knee.
My weird voodoo powers. Yeah, fantastic. I thought I was feeling quite healthy all the way through. Meanwhile, you're just sat there getting more and more uncomfortable. I was sitting blisters just suddenly appearing on your feet.
I was sitting there experimenting with painkillers and contemplating that if I ever get to a point where I'm going to be tortured, I'm going to tell you everything I know.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can't deal with pain.
Okay. Yeah. Do your spiel.
If you go along to handaboutofTime.com, you can see all our previous stuff. Go along to YouTube and subscribe if you want to watch the video version of this, if you listen to it, and watch his rambling while walking videos, do some hiking, because that's the most popular stuff on our channel now, and who cares about games anymore?
We are getting some strange comments.
We are getting some very strange comments. Yeah, we're breaking that number 1 rule on YouTube, which is do not have multiple topics on one channel.
Do not stray out of your remit. Yeah.
And we've never quite had the ability to stay on one topic. So,
life's too short for one topic.
Yeah. YouTube can bend to our whims.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, see you in 2 weeks when there'll be more of the same.
See you next time.
Goodbye.